I mean,
Yeah, sure. That sounds fun to me. Well, why don't I just jump in and yeah, if it's interesting, I can flesh it out more. So of course, excuse me, Near is a sharded blockchain using what I can tell basically something called a data structure called a receipt to communicate between shards with tight gas limits so that kind of the asynchronicity between how far the shards develop is basically limited to 1 second. So this kind of network of shards are sort of connected to these receipts, and everything is tightly controlled so that if you're doing some transaction or some action, and a smart contract takes this huge amount of gas or type of computational resources that's going to be limited, as far as I know, and that just keeps the asynchronicity of the whole blockchain within some type of reasonable bound, so that there is still like a cogent state, I guess, to the blockchain. Yeah, and so apparently this this way of structuring the blockchain, they say, is like infinitely scalable. Sounds a bit suspicious. That claim, that's a big claim, but I don't know. Hey, maybe. I think currently only have like 100 validators, and I guess that's of course something that they're going to expand. Of course, they have a light client specification. This is something in their they call it the Nomicon documents. It really seemed pretty unremarkable as far as I know in terms of light clients. And I'll just quote it here. Light clients operate by periodically fetching instances of, quote, light client block view via particular RPC endpoints described below. And it's just saying that, the light client pings the node. The node provides a hash based upon like kind of where it is relative to the epoch, where the ping occurred relative within the epoch. So I'll just go ahead and read it. The RPC returns the light client block for the block as far into the future from the last known hash as possible for the light client to still accept it. Specifically, it either returns the last final block of the next epoch or the last final known block. If there's no newer final block, then the one the light client knows about, the RPC returns an empty result. So what I kind of understand from typical light clients, that didn't seem particularly remarkable. I don't know if that's just me. I'd be interested if others would say something different. The one thing that I did notice in the Near ecosystem that I think was interesting is called Zpoken. And this is something, I hope I can get his name right. I think it was Paul Henry noted in his notes of kind of like things to look at, projects to look at. And it does seem like an interesting project. So it's a ZK Light Client standard that this, I think it's just like a 2-person dev shop is developing with, I think it's Pagoda, the Near people. So basically, this just, oh shoot, there's a diagram that I can't share. Let me, I'll describe it. I'll put the notes in, I'll put the tag the GitHub in the notes here. But basically, what does it do? It recursively proves the computational schedule of all the epoch blocks. So it's only pinging proofs from the end of the epoch. So kind of like these proofs come at a regular cadence. They're hashed into, then they go through some type of proving algorithm, which I don't have details on, to make a proof. And these are chained together and they just occur in this periodic synchronicity, I guess, is kind of what I gathered from it. So that seemed interesting, just kind of like the regular cadence of it and just kind of how they reduced it to this sort of state checkup occurring kind of like at a regular interval. So with that, what are people doing with this? Again, I don't have details, kind of had to rush through a lot of this research, obviously, but they are teaming with Wormhole. So Wormhole is a bridge between Ethereum and Near. And I should back up and say that Zspoken is Snarks. And I think they're also working towards recursive Snarks, which I understand is a lot less intensive than Starks. I think it's a trusted setup, which is obviously something that piques my ears, I guess. And I think there's a few other things about Snarks, but they do seem like they're pretty efficient from what I was able to gather throughout this research. So anyways, the Wormhole project, a bridge between the Near ecosystem and Ethereum. Wormhole core contributors will be joining Zpoken. Other contributors across the Near ecosystem developed the first ZK Lite client that can prove and verify Ethereum and Near state without the same trust assumptions required today. So that's a interesting that's not something that I immediately thought of as light client for. I mean, obviously, a light client seems to be involved with proving state, right? So why can't that spread across blockchains? I don't know. That's kind of interesting. I don't know if people have other things to say there. There is an interesting YouTube video where they this team of kind of like the ZK people in the Near ecosystem sort of hash out details. It was a good watch. Did it kind of like listen to it while I was doing some other stuff, but it was kind of interesting. And the main takeaway I had was in this same video, the Mina people showed up, and they were talking about, and this is kind of leaving light clients a little bit, but they were talking about things as they thought about Snarky JS. So they really like Snarky JS, and they really like Snarky JS because it can compile down into WASM, and of course anything that is compiled down to WASM can be kept in the browser. And so they had this approach or this idea of using Snarky JS to handle the privacy centric parts of I guess transactions being built in the browser. So it kind of made me wonder, getting to like how can Beers maybe apply this? This could be completely out of scope easily, but I would wonder if there's any part of the Stark computation that could possibly be offloaded into a light client, and specifically any part of that computation that involves privacy sensitive information. So that was kind of like the one thing I was thinking could be completely doesn't make sense. But that was one thought I had after like listening to this really interesting YouTube video with a lot of ZK kind of smart people kind of going down this sort of light client bridging sort of rabbit hole. And the other thing they just kind of talked about was, just the kind of efficient injection of state into transactions, basically through ZK stuff. I don't know if that really touches on light clients. So yeah, that's really kind of chicken scratchy. But yeah, it was kind of a start. It's an interesting rabbit hole, and the ZPoken thing is an interesting project to look into and to build. I didn't notice very like descriptive documents, like for example, a white paper. But however, it does seem like something worth digging deeper into, perhaps with mindful of relevance to Beerus. But yeah, I guess that's kind of where I'm at. Yeah, that's the diagram I was thinking of.
That is awesome. So one thing on the ZPoken side, I actually met them in Austin, and they're actually in the Beerus Telegram channel.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That makes a lot of sense.
So one question I guess is, obviously this Plonky 2 and this Snark engineering is pretty, forefront of what's going on in the ecosystem right now.
Yeah.
Is this something you would want to look? I mean, I think that this is a really interesting point in terms of like snarkifying Beerus or Starkifying Beerus potentially, which we kind of have talked about on these community calls, but it's such a mind fuck that like no one's really taken it yet. Is this something you'd be interested in doing a spike on?
Yeah. I think it's good to keep it at a spike. I don't know. I kind of have some crypto, meaning cryptography, kind of like study background. We'll see how how useful that is. But yeah. I think that's an interesting rabbit hole and something there. And if these ZPoken people are kind of like open to communicating, that could be interesting. So yeah, I'd definitely be up for giving it a shot for sure. Another thing, I kind of missed the ball on the conversation, but also testing. If there's any more testing, I really enjoyed the testing I did last time. I'd be happy to do more of that too. But yeah, I like this spike idea for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So in general, like I have like a lot of time over weekends, so like I do actually have time to put to Beerus. It's just like during the week, it's kind of where things get a little bit sometimes tight. So yeah, I would be definitely up for tackling that this weekend for sure.
Cool. Okay, so I'll at least give you the contact information for the Telegram handles for the ZPoken guys, just so you can ping them if you have any questions on your spike. And then Damien has the proposal for RPC testing. So yeah, as many testing PRs as anybody ever wants to put in, I think that's great. And then as Damien outlines how we're gonna move forward with the RPC testing, maybe he can open up some issues for people to take on the RPC testing side.
Cool.
One thing that was interesting to me in your presentation was about the full nodes exposing a specific RPC endpoint for a light client block view.
Exactly. I was about to say that.
We need to, as this Beerus team becomes like, you know, the light client experts, I think it's going to be important for us to, you know, jump on the community forum and start talking about those types of things. Like we will need those same exact endpoints for Beerus and to have a robust light client ecosystem, but it's not on anyone's radar.
Okay.
So I don't know if you guys know the community forum, but I'll post it in the Telegram channel. Yeah, just to keep in the back of our heads, like those types of things and like how StarkNet becomes, you know, light client centric. I think essentially we'll have to push on that because we are the light client.
No, yeah, but so basically it was like Beerus exposing those those RPC endpoints once computation is done about the proof.
Oh, I was understanding it as the full node was
Yeah,
exposed.
yeah, it's a full node. Yes. But you in our case, you think that we can make starting moving a bit like full node can expose this because full node are not proving anything. Oh yes, Pathfinder is proving now, right? Pathfinder is verifying right now.
Yes.
I think there are. So basically, yeah, if we can move the full node, it can be great. But also, if Beerus makes some computation, perhaps it can make sense to expose. Or no.
I think so. I think yes, but I think the more important thing is that this is the other reason why this conversation hasn't come up in the StarkNet capacity is that there's not a well-defined consensus for StarkNet L2, right? So like once that gets well defined, as in like, okay, this is an epoch, this is when we have, you know, explicit finalization, not from a centralized REST API, but from a decentralized peer-to-peer network, then it's going to be really important that those full nodes expose those metrics and those finalization details. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yes.